Ian McIntosh, owner of Fenton Spine and Sport. Thank you for being on, man.
I'm super pumped to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we just did a whole spiel about every guest kind of gets that breakdown on the off the record, just to kind of make sure everybody's on the same plan. But one of the nice things about you is you live a very similar life to me. You're also a wrestling coach. You also are not an educator who has to be a wrestling coach. So when we were setting this up, we were both like, "Oh, you're a coach too? Like, great. Like, when do you not have a tournament? When do you not have a meet?" It was great.
Yeah, after practice.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to start there, if you don't mind, before we get on to the discussion of chiropractic care and your business, and that is the sport of wrestling and the Venn diagram that you and I share. First, I'd like to ask how you got into the sport of wrestling, and then why you find this affinity to coach now when you're no longer competing.
That's a great story because I have no clue why I got into wrestling. I got into wrestling on the East Coast. I lived on the East Coast in Maryland for a while as a kid, and we just joined a wrestling program. I couldn't tell you why.
Like in high school, middle school,
we're talking
younger?
like the Little Tykes.
Oh, like Little
So
League.
we're talking, I think I joined at maybe 8. So I've been wrestling like my whole life. And it's just a sport that I didn't know how much I loved it until I got into high school. And then you learn all the good things about the sport, how to compete, how to gain that mental edge that you definitely need in wrestling. And then because I have done it for so long and am decently athletic, I just had a really good career. And so I just absolutely love the sport.
Did you also wrestle in college, or was it just after high school you were done?
I played football in college, and so I went to a Division II school called Missouri Western. I had a just slightly above average career there. And when I came back to St. Louis after chiropractic school, the head coaching situation, head coach and then associate situation at my alma mater, which is Summit here in Fenton, they were having a coaching change. And so I just graduated, and the head coach that coached me was still there. And he was like, it was one of those weird things where he put out a post saying, like, if you know anybody looking to coach, we need a new head coach. And I just inquired about it, and he assumed, he's like, "You want to coach?" And it was like, "No, but I'm open to it," And
Are you the head coach?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, God
No,
bless you,
no.
dude.
No,
That's
heck no.
that's a whole commitment.
That's a beast. It's a beast.
I never realized it when I was wrestling, how much is done behind the scenes. Like when you're a wrestler, you're like, oh, they come to practice,
Yeah.
they set up the buses to go to tournaments, not all the administrative work.
No way. Yeah,
It's far less sexy than you think it is.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just an assistant. And in fact, we recently hired another guy who was a head coach somewhere else to help out. And so having a normal day job that's not a teacher where you get off at 3:00 every day, I can only help out a couple days a week and on the weekends. So, my role there is I'm just a role player. I help out. I do the things that I'm really good at, which is elevating certain positional things with guys and trying to develop the feel. So whenever I'm there, I always make sure I kind of move around and find some different partners to roll around with, to drill with, because having a good partner, as you probably know, is like over half the ball game. I mean, it's humongous, because if you don't get a partner who can drill and get the right feel, I mean, you don't really develop the real way to do a lot of moves. And so having somebody like myself who can get in there and wrestle with the kids and help them develop that feel aspect of, and being good enough to, like, we're drilling and I can say, no, let's stop, put your hand here, feel this weight pressure here, and just having that intricate detail and understanding, that's kind of where I do it best. And that's how I help out as of right now.
That's very close to my heart, because it's very similar to my story. Like, I also have a day job. It's also very difficult to get out 2:30 p.m. to then be at the high school by 3, and then thank God for our head coach, who is a teacher, and he's there, starts the conditioning and everything by the time we get there. And we also have a good flow of, like, there's a lot of volunteer coaches. Some of the football coaches come in, and we all do this, like, tier structure where, like, they're in, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then I'm in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, and we fill out the week, and then we also make sure that we're there for the evenings and the tournaments. But the days of like when I was in high school, we had a dedicated head coach and assistant coach, and both of them were teachers. I don't know how it is at Summit, but from what I could see at Afton, it's tough to ask these teachers to commit that now because it's like, dude, like I said earlier, like being a coach is if you're doing all the administrative stuff. It is a full-time job, especially for wrestling. You got to sign them up for practices. Sorry, not practices. The tournaments. You got to get the bus schedule ready. You got to see the home and away meets, everybody's weight classes, the hydration test, when they can make what weight when. It's a freaking process.
Yeah, and Summit is a Rockwood school, and so we have a VIC program, and so we do all of that stuff. And then you have to coordinate some of the guys that don't live nearby. They have to go get transportation.
What is a VIC
city
program? Forgive me.
I don't know what VIC stands for. I probably should. But it's getting students, like inner city students,
that can come to the school
that get kind of bussed out to county schools.
I think Afton does that as well, if I'm not mistaken. There's like a city bus.
Some schools do, some don't. I know.
Just wanted to take a second to pause the action and just tell you guys thank you so much for consuming our content. Easy Talk is a passion project. This podcast is just a bunch of like-minded people coming together to produce some cool stuff and talk to some cool people. One of the things I would very much appreciate is if you could possibly like the video or subscribe to the channel, just because it helps us in the algorithm and ultimately to grow, to get more exposure to everybody, including ourselves, and ultimately just make a better product. Take a second, I'd greatly appreciate it, and on with the show.
Like Lindbergh, for example, is a school that doesn't. Rockwood does. I believe Parkway does as well. But that's another component to where you have a dual meet that might end at like 8:45, 9 o'clock.
Do you have a bus to take them back?
And then we got to call cabs. You got to call cabs to come and get them. And so somebody's got to stay there. And it's just another component. To your point, the head coaches, the people that are committed to being a coach, it's a big commitment. It's a big commitment.
God bless them. Devon Ford, and I don't know who your head coach is. I'm sorry. What is his name?
His name's Darian DeRoe.
Darian DeRoe, Devon Ford. You guys are amazing people.
Yeah, it's something that I don't think people value enough until it's after the fact, how much a good coach can impact your life. In any sport, any club, if you have a coach that can really connect with you and push you to personally improve yourself, maybe not even in the sport, in the performance aspect, but just getting the mental side of things, pushing somebody to be better and improve. I mean, it can make a really big lasting change in somebody's life.
I absolutely agree, and that's actually one of the things that I have to constantly remind myself when I coach, because when I'm a competitive guy, like I want to win, you know what I mean? But I have to constantly take myself back a little bit and be like, hey, when I was a wrestler, the goals that I had aren't necessarily the goals that everybody is having. Like maybe every one kid who wants to be the state champ, maybe one kid just wants to do a sport. Maybe one kid just wants to lose weight. Like whatever it is that they want, they're all in the same room, perhaps for different reasons, and I have to accommodate all that.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where I do agree, where like I can be that role model or that positive influence for someone who doesn't even, maybe wrestling is their third sport, and like football is number one, and I don't know, track and field is number two, and wrestling is just something they do to stay in shape. I have to facilitate that, and that's there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. And in fact, in today's world of kids being in the house on computer screens, eating junk food, not exercising, I mean, any excuse to get out and join a sports team is a good excuse. And so I just think that, number one, wrestling is such an amazing sport to help people grow and develop as people. But also, I mean, just talk about the workouts and getting physically in the best shape of your life. I mean, that's so good for people.
Not just that, but I think it's so I'm a mixed martial artist, or I was a mixed martial artist. But I will say this, like I consider wrestling a martial art. And by no means am I trying to knock other sports. It's not what this is about, but it is to amplify wrestling. Like you are teaching these kids like a fairly decent way of physically defending themselves in case something ever does happen in their life. Like I wrestled. So like when I was a freshman in college, I was never a big guy. I was like, $150 my freshman year, 5'7", like by every metric average. But I did feel like, hey, if worse comes to worse, I can at least like take somebody down and kind of hold them until I get help. You know what I mean?
It's a big deal. That's why the self-defense classes are so big with women, because they need to be able to physically, have that ability to defend yourself.
Does Summit do a female team?
Yeah, we have a girls team.
Yeah.
We have actually a pretty darn good girls team. We just lost a senior last year who was multiple time state finalist, state champion as a senior. But we've got some really good gals coming up. Yeah.
That was one of the things that did surprise me the most, because I remember when I was coming up, it was co-ed because there wasn't enough women.
And that was kind of strange. But
when they I think it was like what 2019. I don't remember what year that started.
Something like that.
But it was right before COVID. I remember it was right before COVID. I remember because I would come in before I started coaching. We had Afton tournament, right? And I would always come in as like an alumni to help with like the booth, scoring, like anybody that comes to a wrestling tournament and helps out, shout out. Like you're like an unsung hero.
Savior.
Even the person that like taps the referee. Yeah. So like I would always come in there and do that. And I remember that first year where like Afton tournament was 2 days. I go, whoa, 2 days? Like, whoa, what's going on? The first day was women's only.
Yeah.
And when I went in there and I saw like 150 girl wrestlers, my jaw dropped. I was like, holy shit. Like when I was in high school, you'd be lucky to see 5 or 6 girls.
Yeah.
And God bless them, because like all of them had to wrestle against the guys. Mm-hmm. It was a tough task to ask. And to see wrestling expand to the women, and I do agree with you that I think it's a great vehicle for like just making stronger, better people. Why would you isolate that to 50% of the population?
Yeah. I think Missouri, women's wrestling is the fastest growing sport in Missouri right now.
It's in this United States.
I totally would see that. I think it's good that gals are getting out and wrestling. There's always that stigma that it's kind of like, the gals that are wrestling are going to be like butchy, or they're going to get their faces
we reserve that for softball.
Their faces are going to get all mashed up, or cauliflower ear, and just like, not really. It's kind of just a sport where you can learn how to compete, learn body control and awareness. It's just an awesome sport.
I'll go a step further. If you're worried about the over masculinity of it, I think that there are 3 sports in particular that create physiques that are the most attractive: swimming, gymnastics, and wrestling. If you look at any wrestler, if you look at any gymnastics, gymnastic, I don't know what you would call it. You wouldn't call them gymnastics player.
Athlete.
A gymnast, any gymnast or any swimmer, they just have amazing physiques. It's a high, explosive, high cardio sport that will just create bodies that are, I want to create the right verbiage here, like aesthetically pleasing. Like you look at a wrestling, like a 157-pound senior in high school, he's probably going to be fucking built.
He's going to be ripped.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And especially if he's been wrestling for multiple years. Same thing happens to women. It's not like these women are, overly masculine or whatever. They're just very strong cores, strong legs, strong back, strong arms. I would say that if you're doing one of those 3 sports, you're going to be looked at as aesthetically pleasing. I want to be careful how I word this.
Yes. Hey, muscles are good even on women.
Yes, I agree. Fitness is universally attractive. If you don't mind me asking, though, I can be the first person to tell you that it is very difficult to juggle these things. To juggle a full-time job outside of the school district, because you're not a teacher.
Correct.
Do you mind if I briefly bring that variable into this conversation in the sense of like, it's a sacrifice? And it's not something that I like to talk about, because I never want the kids to feel like, it's a bad thing in my life, but it is something that I want to bring up, because it is a sacrifice. Like you're missing time at home with your wife and your kids, and you're having to leave work early, which means you're probably gonna have to make up that work at a different time and place. So obviously coaching is enough. There's enough importance to coaching for you that you're willing to take on that toll. Can we briefly discuss that?
Sure. Yeah, my coaching schedule is 2 days a week, the occasional dual meet that's after work, and then the weekends. And
there go your Saturdays.
There go my Saturdays. And so it's something that I like enough, and it brings me joy to kind of instill the principles of an awesome sport into other people and help people succeed in a sport that helped me so much, that it's worth the trade-off there. And so the way I have to think about it is, obviously, every minute I'm not in the office working on work, there's an opportunity cost there. And so does the opportunity cost, does it at least balance out to where what I gain from the time away is it at least as valuable as what I would get if I was working? As of right now, they are balanced out pretty well. I think if I was to do more away from the office, it might start to tip the scales. But I think as the recipe as I have it now, I think it works pretty well.
And obviously that's acceptable for the school district because they're still getting some help.
Yeah, they're getting some help. We've got an awesome situation where, some coaches are on staff with the district. Some are like booster club paid that are like affiliated with the district but not paid by the school. So we've got an awesome situation where I could totally fit in and just help out where I can and just be a good role player.
Yeah, God bless, man. I see a lot of school districts now where there's multiple pieces. Like I think Afton has 6 coaches. Like we have 6 wrestling coaches. But like it goes back to what I was saying. So like some people are in there 2 days a week, some people are 3 days a week. Yeah. The head coach is there 5 days a week. God bless him. You know what I mean? But we piecemeal it together. We work at it. And you were asking me, how our program is, and I'll be open about it. 4 years ago, we were dog shit. Program basically didn't exist. And to see the kids grow and to see the kids set a new standard, and now we do have a program. Now we do have like a standard. It took some time to get there, and God bless the coaches. God bless the kids. I'm very pleased with who we're at today. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of time, but you said the term like opportunity cost, and I agree with you. But I would add an extra layer onto that, and I would say that it used to feel like I was putting in what I was getting out of it. But then the variable of like getting to know the kids and seeing, so like now we're getting to the point where I know freshmen that are now seniors and they're about to graduate. And I'm like,
pretty cool.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
One of the things that I look forward to now more than anything is after season ends, you get like 6 months, you don't see the kids, and then boom, it's October again. I like coming in and saying like, oh my God, look at like puberty
Who is
hit
this
you.
guy? Who is this
exactly.
kid? Yeah.
You gained 40 pounds. Like you're a man now. Like holy shit. You know what I mean?
We have a senior that has done that every season to where
he was a little kid, now he's a man.
He was a little bitty guy, and now he was like really short, and now he might be a smidgen taller than me.
Put something in the water.
Yeah, it's just cool to see that growth, and
you're watching them become men or women.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that, and then also it's cool to see how their personalities will change, and you can just tell that in a tough match. Are they throwing hissy fits because they're losing, or somebody's, getting the better of them, versus are they just staying tough and dedicated to just getting the next point? And so seeing that aspect is cool outside of just seeing, hey, man, he's taller and he's got a mustache this year. Like, what the heck? That's cool.
The voice has got real deep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's cool, too. Just watching people's growth.
So if you don't mind me asking, I love that we both share wrestling, but the main reason we have you on today is actually to talk about your line of work, and that's chiropractic care. But before we even start, I do want to make sure that it's publicly known. I tend to find it difficult to find guests in which there are topics in which I am at odds with. I'll give you an example. I cannot, for the life of me, get a single person who's pro crypto to step on the podcast with me because they're. I told them the same thing I tell you. Like I'll be respectful. Yeah. There will be some things I want to ask you. I'm going to dissect some of this. My stance on this is A. Your stance is B. Let's see where we converge. Let's see where we separate. I can't get an active educator to talk about education, but on that front, I give them some grace because I think it's more they're worried about their job. If that makes sense. I can't get a teacher to come on and talk to me about public education or a principal or a superintendent, or I can get people that are retired. The only reason I don't do that is because I think to myself, like, I want someone in the thick of it that's going through tomorrow. It. Yeah. Just as an example, like those two, like I cannot get someone who wants to come in and talk about education. I cannot get somebody who wants to explain their position on crypto that's adverse to me. When you and I started talking about having you on the podcast, I was very upfront with you. I said, hey, listen, I just want you to know my stance on chiropractic care. And you, like a G, were like, cool, dope, let's talk about it. So I want to say that because there are people who, shy away from perhaps what could be perceived as a confrontational conversation. So for that, I just want to say thank you.
It was amazing. You were like, I don't really like chiropractors. It's like, Honestly, me neither. So this is going to be an easy conversation.
Well, let me clear the air. The individuals actually I've never disliked. All the chiropractors I've ever gone to, cool people.
Yeah.
Jacob Shearer, the guy at Dr. Lask, all great guys. My stance on chiropractic care, like if I were to have like a thing is, it's a nice to have, but I feel like it is the cost benefit analysis makes no sense. The amount that I have to pay for what I'm getting for chiropractic care doesn't make sense to me. Now, let me explain some of my anecdotal evidence and how I've arrived to this position to kind of illustrate why I say what I say. I'll start with the actual care that I've received first. I have, and I will say that there have been massage therapists that I have used, like deep tissue massage, shout out Megan Sanders, with Sub-Zero Cryotherapy, where I felt like there was more of a return for the hour that I spent, the money that I spent, and the recovery that I received from like a deep tissue stretch/sports massage. Whenever I spent that time and money on chiropractic care, I will say that the euphoria of a chiropractor's visit is substantial. Pop your neck, feels great. Pop my back, feels great. And then I'll feel like a new man for all of about 30 minutes. Then by the time I get back to the gym, same aches and pains.
Sure.
And the constant between all of the chiropractors that I've ever seen has been, it's never been about the acute issues that I'm trying to recover from. It's more, how can I get in here as much as possible? I'll give you a prime example.
Yeah, please
there
do.
was a time where I had a rotator cuff issue on my right arm right before a fight. And I was like, hey, I just want you to kind of like take a look at it, see what it feels like. If you think like I need to go see like a specialist, if you think that this is something we could take care of between you, that's all. It was kind of like a consultation, but I was in there, you know, you touch bodies, you know more than me kind of thing.
Yeah, I trust you, yeah.
And then immediately after the first thing, he was like, you need this, that, or the other. But we could do this over the course of like, and I shit you not, he told me 30 sessions. And I thought to myself, I got to fight in 3 weeks. If you tell me that we can't handle this in 3 weeks, that's fine. I'm not trying to hold you to like this time frame. I realize that that's unreasonable. But then we need to figure out something else. I can't come to you 30 times. Plus, I hate to add this paradigm. It does kind of sting when I'm paying for health insurance. And it seems like the majority, if not, actually, I could say anecdotally speaking, not one of the chiropractors that I've ever visited have ever been covered by insurance, which is just an irritant to me, if that makes sense.
I could talk ad nauseum about that. So
that maybe that's something we could talk about. So to kind of make my synopsis of my position, forgive me. I've gone to chiropractors throughout my professional and amateur career. And there has been short-term gain followed by long-term, I wouldn't say like I reverted back to normal, but like 1-2% increase in terms of flexibility, motion, what have you. I've also felt like there's been this underlying commerce structure where it's not about getting me ready. It's not about healing me or making me feel great or even getting me stronger. It's about getting me in there as much as possible.
Gotcha.
Which I would not mind if the health insurance that I already paid for would cover it.
Right.
These are some of the big pillars. And then the last one that is the most annoying, if I'm going to be completely honest, and I hate that I said the chiropractors' names now for what I'm about to say.
Yeah, which one's the most annoying?
The most annoying is when I go in there and you get readjusted in 3 fucking minutes and you hit me for $100. And I think to myself, bro, like if I can pop my own neck, like I need a little value add here. For me specifically, I'm not like an older guy who's maybe like looking for some range of motion. I was a high level athlete who was looking for some relief and even better, some recovery for my next fight. I need you to meet me halfway. And I did feel like some of the times most of the time that I went to a chiropractor, I got fleeced. That's the word I would describe. It's like, okay, here goes $100. You touched me for 5 minutes. Yeah, you popped my back. You told me what was wrong with me, but like nothing's fixed. Or like I don't even know the process to get fixed. You just told me I need to see you 30 more times. Jesus Christ. Like, forgive me. I kind of went on a little bit of a rant.
Dude,
this is
off.
kind of a little bit of my stance and why. So let's kind of deconstruct this. And before we talk about my issues with the craft.
Sure.
I would like to talk a little bit about your background in it. So you say that you went and you went to a university and you played football, but then you went to chiropractic school afterwards. So before we even talk about chiropractic, I do want to talk about how you got in this line of work.
Sure.
Why, attraction to it. Forgive me, I went on a rant. The floor is yours.
Dude, you were going great.
Sorry.
It was good. I think I probably agree with all the points that you made, and I have a little bit of the same quarrels with the profession on nearly every point, and so that's why I've set my office up to be the way that it is. And so with that, I'll give you some background about how I got into chiropractic. And so in college, I played football. With football, you have to work out like an absolute maniac, mostly weightlifting, sprints, that sort of thing. It's power sport, getting powerful, getting fast. And so as a sophomore, after the season, right before we got into winter break, I was in there working out, doing some squats, and I hurt my back. A very mild injury at the time. It was like, man, this hurts, but it's like right in the middle of my back, really low by my tail, by my sacrum. But I'm tough. I'll just push it out. I'm tough. At least I thought. And so that entire winter break was off and on, like just really uncomfortable. And so I get back to school, and I trained the whole winter break on what I now know was a herniated disc. Trained the whole time on it. Went back, went through the whole winter workouts, tried to get around kind of the issues and the pain that it was feeling. I went to the athletic trainer at the time. That's basically who runs point for all injuries at college, is the athletic trainer. Told him what was going on. We did some stuff with him. I did some stuff with PT that worked in the sports medicine clinic for the college, and it just didn't go away. In fact, it went all the way through winter workouts, which is typically probably about January to March, and then after March there's a spring break, and then it's like spring ball. And so I went into that spring ball like guns blazing, let's get a spot on the starting lineup. Like,
forgive me for those that don't play football.
Sure.
I don't know what spring ball is.
Okay.
Forgive me. Sorry.
Fair point. So the football season is in the fall. You play your 8 to 12 games, depending on what level you play at. And after that, it's all within the team as far as how you compete. So in an average college football team, you'll have 100 guys. And so in the spring, right around April to May-ish, there will be about 8-ish weeks of spring ball. It's intra-team practicing games, simulating games and stuff like that. It's trying to set the new starting lineup. The equivalent would be like if you have two guys at the same weight class, they're going to have a challenge match. See who wins. That guy's going to start.
Varsity and
exactly.
JV.
So you do this.
Spring ball is your way of saying, okay, who's first string, who's second string.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. So it's the equivalent of challenge matches that are going to set who's the starter, who's second string, who's third string.
So at the beginning of that winter practice, you herniated your disc. Mm-hmm. You powered through it, and then spring ball comes. You probably did not adequately heal.
Yeah.
And you off to the races.
So spring ball happened, and again, just being super stubborn and being as tough as I could be, I powered through it and was horrible at the end of spring ball. Pain going down the leg, getting to the point where, muscles were starting to turn off because they were just, the nerves were just chronically inflamed. It was like really bad. And so I went through every single step, got all the way to the point where the spine orthopedist doctor said, you either quit doing what you're doing or we need to think about a surgery. At that time, you just...
And what does surgery mean? Fusing discs?
Fuse the bones together.
No, fuck that.
And so...
I'd rather deal with the pain.
Exactly. And so I remember vividly meeting with the orthopedic surgeon, and he said, and I'm like trying to gain a starting spot, trying to get my squat 1 rep max up, doing all this stuff. And he was in the room with me, and first off, he gave me, knowing what I know now, zero exam whatsoever. He kind of poked around and looked at my x-ray and says, yeah, you probably should never squat again, and you can get a good workout from just air squats.
Just for my own sanity, what year are we talking about? Is this like early like, are we talking 2000s, 2010s? Just from my frame of reference, forgive me.
Yeah, this would be 2016-ish.
Okay. Oh, recent, man. You're a young man. Okay.
Yeah, born in 95, so I'm in my
Yeah,
30s
I'm
now.
older than you.
You are. I looked this up. I'm getting up there. But yeah,
29 years?
I turned 30 this year, so.
Shout out you.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
So this was 2016-ish, and I got to that point where it was like, you're done, or you get surgery. Neither of those were the right answer. And so I went at that point.
What answer were you looking for, out of curiosity? Just
That's
like,
a great question. Knowing what I know now, I can give the answer because I know how I can help people. At the time, all I was looking for was, how do you get back to performance? How can I do whatever means necessary to get back on the field, performing, all the strength and athleticism that I need back? Being a short guy, as a running back, as a special teams guy, my thing was being super quick and explosive. When you have a herniated disc for like 6 months, it shuts off an entire side of explosive ability. I was getting worse literally by the week in terms of how good I could play the sport that I went to college for. And so that was really bad. And so at that point, it was like, I'll literally try anything. I'll do anything. And so I went to a chiropractor here in town. I got adjusted. It was a super old school guy, very similar to what you were talking about. You're in and out in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was super, super old school. But I have done, prior to that, months and months of just generic PT, athletic trainer type things, which is the heat and stem packs, the positional based movements. And it was in literally 5 minutes, more relief than I'd had in 5 or 6 months.
When you got adjusted.
When I got adjusted. And so at that point, I was like, I don't really know anything about this. I don't know how this worked, but that felt amazing. And so the treatment plan then after that was, I got adjusted every week for probably the rest of the year, from May to June, literally the rest of the year. I mean, I was adjusted like 50 times. It was like a lot, sometimes twice a week. And so
but would you feel the same things that I was describing, where you would get adjusted? And I'll be the first person to tell you, when you leave a chiropractic office, like if you were to interview people 5 minutes after they walk out that door, you're going to get 5 out of 5 reviews from everybody. Because you feel like, oh my God, my neck and my back and all that. The problem was never how I felt immediately after. It is always that I always reverted back to base. And base was, I also have my lower back that got hurt when I was young. I have shoulders. I have my knee. My body is fucked. You know what I mean? I was so worried about CT in the brain. I never really cared about my body. Boy, did that bite me in the ass. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I would always revert back, which then would make me think, what the fuck was that for?
At the time, I didn't have that thought process because I was training every day anyway, and training always hurt.
Yeah.
I was used to that. I just thought that's what was supposed to happen. You go to the chiropractor, you feel awesome for that day, go back to training.
Feel like shit afterwards.
And it was like a super, super slow stair step up. It was like 1% every week in terms of the total improvement. But I could always look back and say, I'm better than I was last month. I'm better than I was 6 months ago. And so at that time, I didn't have that thought process, just because that was the thing that got me a little bit of relief. And that was the thing where I would be sitting in my dorm room and I'd be just scrolling YouTube, watching chiropractor videos. I'm like, I need to learn how this works. I can't just like get this treatment and know literally nothing about it. And so at that time, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, shout out to her.
Shout out. Wife.
Hey, shout out. And she was like, you need to look into this.
Really?
Yeah.
Even she was like,
and I was like, no.
Out of curiosity, when you went to college, what were you studying? Like, what was your field of study?
I was a psychology major initially, which was I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and I just needed something. And so I had the herniated disc situation happen like smack dab in the middle. And so I had like a year and a half I switched majors to exercise science, applied to chiropractic school, and like kind of that's all she wrote there. And
did you need to, forgive me, just for my own sanity, did you need to go to college to go to chiropractic school? Aren't they mutually exclusive?
No, you need a bachelor's degree to
Go
into
to chiropractic school?
Yeah, you need a lot of prerequisites. It's the school here in town, Logan. That's where I went.
When you say a bachelor's degree, though, do you mean like a generic, like any undergrad at all? Like I have an undergrad in English. Mm-hmm. Then I can go to.
Yeah, you need a lot of prerequisite classes.
Okay.
So when you jump into chiropractic school, first trimester is it's like 7 classes a day, every day, 5 days a week. It's like information overload. And so you need all these prerequisites to like get you some of the background, the anatomy, the physiology, some of those classes just to kind of get you caught up to speed.
Get you up to speed.
So when you get there, you don't just fail from.
Did you go to Logan's or did you go to somewhere else?
Yeah, I went to Logan. Over in Chesterfield.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know, I'm talking about Logan's Chiropractic Center. It's basically like the premier school,
good school.
in the area for chiropractors, and the majority, if not all, the chiropractors that I know went through that program. Forgive me.
It's a good school.
Context.
It's a good school. It's one of the best schools to my knowledge. There are a couple other good ones that try to be like trendsetters and be at the cornerstone as far as understanding what does the research actually say, how can you operate within your scope of practice to deliver change in people. And it was at the end of my tenure at Logan, which is a 3.5-year degree. My last year, I started to get into all these extra courses and weekend seminars to kind of develop a little bit more of an edge to deal with athletes and active people, because going through school, they teach you the basics of how to be the traditional chiropractor. And then they kind of drop stuff here and there about, well, you know, you can do a little bit more, and there's clubs and all these things if you want to incorporate rehab and do that sort of thing. And so I always knew, like, I didn't want to be the traditional person. At the time, I didn't know, like, how to get there, but I always wanted to work with athletes. And so it's a perfect segue into what happened after I graduated and how I got to here. So when I graduated, I was the super traditional, insurance-based, every visit is blocked out for 10 minutes.
Forgive me, when you say graduated, do you mean graduated with your undergrad or graduated from Logan? Sorry.
Graduated from Logan.
So you're already now like a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
I graduated from Logan in 2021, so going on my 5th year in practice.
Wild year to start a business.
The COVID year was crazy.
How do you chiropractic remotely?
You know what's crazy? Thankfully, it's an essential business, so they never close down.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
they never close down. But
Sorry,
when
I don't mean to.
Dude, sometimes I forget the COVID year, but it was a thing, and it sucked. When I graduated, I got into a practice that was super traditional, 10-minute blocked out visits where it's like insurance is only going to pay for these things. If somebody wants extra, they're going to pay a little bit more in cash for that. But that time block is what's super important. How much time do you get in front of your provider? That's what dictates, in my opinion, a good office versus a not so good office. So the shorter your visit, the shorter time that you are in and out, is what makes people really irritated with chiropractic.
100%.
And that's what also irritates me about chiropractic. And so that's how it was when I graduated. And I always wanted to do more. I just didn't know how. And so over the next 2 years of doing that, it was just hemming and hawing. And I always wanted to do more, but I never really could. And people didn't want to pay more because health insurance for chiropractic, at least in Missouri, is kind of crappy. Which I get why in the traditional sense. The way I do it, it's horrible that they don't pay for it. And we'll get to this. At the time, I'd had no clue how to do more, the things that I wanted to do. And so...
Forgive me, I don't mean to interrupt, sorry, but I want to take a step back because the original catalyst for this part of the conversation was like you were saying that the curriculum that you were following was more broad, like every average individual. But you were making a delineation or a distinction between like, I don't necessarily want to just do only average people. I also want to do like athletes, professional athletes, amateur athletes. Can we just talk briefly on a high level? What is that delineation? Like, why would dealing with an athlete versus an average person be different? And like, what are some of the things that you've had to learn for that distinction? I'm curious.
Sure. So the way that chiropractic has always worked is it was a volume game.
Yeah.
It's how many people can you treat in one day? Because that's the only way that people knew how to make a living. That's what insurance will pay for. They will pay for the treatment that takes 3 or 4 minutes to deliver and nothing else. So if you're operating in that system, you learn how to thrive in that system.
Why? Does insurance think that everything else is elective, therefore it's not needed, essentially?
The way I understand it is that anything done in a chiropractor's office is considered chiropractic. So if you want to get your chiropractor wants to take you through exercises, that's still under the scope of chiropractic. If you want to lay down and get the electric stimulation, the adjustments, the soft tissue work, your thumbs and elbows and all that stuff, it's all chiropractic. It's under the scope. It's all good. But insurance will only pay for things that only a chiropractor can do. So exercising. Let's say you hurt something, you strained your shoulder, right? You had a rotator cuff. And I thought, after we adjust your upper back and your neck, I want to do some soft tissue work on your shoulder, and I want to do some rehab exercises to start working on that. They don't pay for the latter portion.
Because a chiropractor exclusively doesn't have to do that.
Correct.
Except the justification.
They'd rather pay for that for a physical therapist, or they might, and some insurance companies will pay to go to a massage therapist.
Could
they
you be a
segment
chiropractor
care.
And a physical therapist?
Or
is there like?
That's a great question. I don't really know.
Like
I don't
if that
know
is the
any.
case, okay, cool. I'm both.
Yeah, I don't know any.
Because I'm telling you this right now.
That's a good question.
If my insurance started covering this shit, I'd go. My whole thing is like, why am I paying on top of what I'm paying? That is the most annoying part.
Super annoying.
Because it's like I'm already paying an arm and a leg through my employment.
Yep.
And then I go to you, and I do feel great when I come out. Yeah, even if it's just like 3-4 minutes adjustment.
Sure.
But then I get tacked with like the $80-$100 afterwards. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Tell me
Forgive
about
me.
It. Tell me about
I don't
it.
mean to make
it's super frustrating. I don't know if it's done on purpose. And that's kind of getting into maybe, how
a topic that we might,
how the law or politics of the situation works, which I
don't
ever get into any of that because I don't care that much. I just know that if I want to do physical therapy exercises, or I want to put a 97110 code, a therapeutic exercise code on somebody's bill and send it to their insurance, they aren't paying for it. Zero. We'll nearly never get any money for it. Like almost never. And so because of that, I tried to operate in the system like everybody else does until I found a way out. It sounds like I'm in the Matrix and somebody gave me the red pill, because it's almost that simple. We found a mentor that operates in it's a cash-based system that gives you the opportunity to treat somebody how you think they should be treated, to do, let's say maybe they need more soft tissue work than the spinal adjusting, or they need more of the exercise. It's like it allows you to be the true quarterback and just do what you think is best for them. And so that was about 2.5 years ago, probably right around 2-ish years ago. And that led me into what I do now. And so how we do things now is like so drastically, totally different. It's a little bit more frustrating because my office is not in network with health insurance, because the vast majority of what I do is not going to get covered. And here's another crazy part. Even when I was an in-network provider, most of the time, the people just paid out of pocket for their adjustment anyway. I'd send in that adjustment code to the insurance, and they would send it back and say, yeah, they haven't met their deductible. I don't care. I'm not paying for that.
Meaning, even when you would operate within the parameters of what would be covered, the insurance companies would still come back and say, no, I'm good.
Almost everybody. They would say, unless they've hit their deductible and or out-of-pocket max, we're not covering that anyway, so they have to pay out of pocket. So honestly, it sucks.
Health insurance.
It sucks.
That's a macro topic.
It's a beast. But good providers just learn how to operate around it.
So, not to dig in too much to this, but like I do want to extrapolate on this because like surely you understand that this is like if there is a factor that disrupts your business, this might be the number one, and that's whether or not health insurance covers you guys.
Totally is.
So before I even talk about like why it doesn't, or I do want to hear from your perspective as the provider. How do you feel about all this? Do you want to be in a situation where health insurance does cover it, maybe even at a discount? Like, what would you prefer? Do you like the cash-based? Would you prefer insurance gets involved and covers it? Like, what do you think would be better for you and your business now?
Well, there's twofold there. There's what would be the best for, let's say, the patient that's in the office. Best case scenario the thing that they pay a premium to every month is going to pay for the service that they're getting.
Yeah.
Because it's health insurance. It's something that they're doing to improve their health, to hopefully reduce the overall healthcare cost expenditures in the world. And I'll tell you firsthand, I know because I've talked to nurses that work in orthopedist office that do spinal surgeries. Those things are expensive. They're super expensive. And not only is that expensive, but the treatment after that is expensive. And typically there's a level of disability that always comes with somebody after surgery, especially the older they get. Like, I just don't get how somebody doesn't see from the healthcare provider, the health insurance standpoint, how do you not want to pay for something and reimburse for something that is it's gonna help people get healthy, as opposed to a $50,000 back surgery that
you're talking about preventative care versus reactive care.
Dude.
And then like,
so
the problem is though, I'll tell you why. Macro wise, you're exactly right. You're better spending the lesser portion today to prevent those surgeries, to prevent that from even happening. But from the insurance carrier's perspective, this is data that is irrefutable. It's more lucrative to do it their way. And their way is...
And just bump your premiums up.
Exactly.
It's really frustrating. And so...
do I think it's correct? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But do I...
I see why they do it that way.
Yeah, but it's also fucked. I 100% agree with you.
To get back to your question, the best case scenario for the patient would be for the insurance company that they pay a premium to every month to cover some of the service. They don't have to cover all of it, but a good portion.
Yeah, if they covered half, and I only have to be like 40, $50
half would be good.
Cool.
And depending on how long your visit is, half is good, or maybe even a third or a quarter. But best for the patient, actually, I can't refute this anymore. It made me really weary when I got into practicing how I do now, which we can get into that. It made me really weary about it to not be a network at all. But the results that people get doing things the way, the treatment plans the way that I do them, the results are astronomically better. Because with a longer visit, with more of an initial cost, people are bought in. They're like, I'm going to do every single thing you say. I'm never going to miss homework. We're going to do this treatment plan. And at the end of it, like, I'm going to be better because I'm bucking up and doing it. And so it's kind of twofold, because I wish health insurance would pay. No question. If they start paying, I'll probably go back and network. Like, it's not that hard to do. But because they don't, and the people that I work with that are active adults and athletes that have that performance goal, like, if I only give them a super short, very, not in-depth treatment, they don't get as good of results as they do.
If I'm in and out in 5 minutes, I'm never coming back.
I know people personally.
I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way you could have adjusted. Unless you're giving me like the creme de la creme adjustment, 5 minutes, like total, like there's no way.
I know people personally that's what they want. They want to lay down, they want to get cracked, it feels good, and they want to get out as fast as possible.
No shit.
I know them.
Athletes?
Both. Athletes, normal people, like, that's what they want. At every level. I've talked to people in the NFL that want that. They want to get cracked for 2 minutes before practice or on the sidelines, or people that are just business people that sit all day long. They're like, I've been sitting all day, my back hurts, I want to get adjusted as fast as possible.
Huh.
Like, some people want that. If that's what you want, don't come to my office because that's not how we do things. But for the people that have a performance metric or a functional sort of outcome metric that they want, the way that I do things now is hands down better. I mean, without question, better.
And when you say the things that you do now, it is what, the longer reception, the longer they're in there longer, but you're also doing more exercises, more deep tissue, soft tissue. Like, if you don't mind, now I do want to get granular. Now I do want to get in the weeds.
For sure.
Like, let's start with this. What does the average chiropractic you're in network? What is like the average session look like?
Sure. So if you go to pick an insurance-based clinic, there's probably 10 within a couple miles of here. You're going to go in. They're going to do a super quick exam on you. If it's the first visit, it might be 15 to 20, 30 minutes at maximum.
Dude, if I got 30 minutes, I
yeah,
feel like I need to
that might be the first visit.
I've never gotten that.
Some don't. We still did it that way.
I've gone to 3 different ones, and of those 3, 10 minutes tops.
And that's unfortunate, and I have no defense of that.
I hate to. Okay, I asked you a question, but there's actually a question before. Do you feel like in this space, you're actually hurt by your peers?
Yes. That's a sidebar. Do you want to get into this?
Yeah, let's do this first. Let's do
Okay.
this. I'm sorry. We're jumping all over the place, but I do want to get to this one first. Because I told you that I don't like your craft because of anecdotal evidence. I've gone to 3, 4 different chiropractors.
Yeah.
And all 3, 4 of them, I'm sorry, guys. I love you. I do. Wasted money. I still hurt. I still ache. I didn't get what I wanted out of it. That shoulder surgery that I told you about, I just went and got a cortisone shot. And I felt great after 48 hours. So, like, I hate to be that guy, but it's like, the reason why I'm having this conversation with you today is because your peers have. I didn't dislike chiropractors. I don't dislike chiropractors now. Forgive me. I have less respect for the craft because of what I've felt from it.
It's fair.
So now you listen, dude. You might be the creme de la creme. You might be the shit. But the problem is, I've gotten 4. I got 4 Yelp reviews in my queue.
Yeah.
That are less than reputable, and now I have this guy coming in front of me saying, "Hold up, Ariane, they are wrong. You are right. Let me show you why." And I would be curious to ask, like, how many other chiropractors do you talk to? Do you guys conversate? Is there like a Discord chat that you guys get on? Like, do you feel like you're kind of set up for failure because of your peers?
We're set up for failure because of 2 things. Number 1, health insurance. That makes it very challenging for us if I speak for chiropractors in general. It makes it challenging. We're also set up for what promises are given to people. So if I have a huge personal pet peeve with places that call themselves sports chiropractors, or they're a clinic that sees athletes, so they label it as a sports clinic. I know there's a place in town called that, and I don't have any harsh feelings against them, so I'm being careful there.
No shout out those guys.
I won't shout them out, but they're better than the most. But the problem is when you label yourself a sports chiropractor and you deliver the same treatment that you give a 60-year-old woman, you're not into sports. You're not doing anything to help their sport besides being a traditional chiropractor. And so the offices out there that will make promises about, hey, we're going to do 30 visits twice, 3 times a week, whatever it is, to fix this rotator cuff, and all I'm going to do is adjust your upper back and neck. That is what gives chiropractors a bad name. And
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Been doing this a while now. Those places, if they stay in their lane and just say, I'm just going to adjust your spine, like, I'm going to do some things for the biomechanics, the pain receptors in your spine, all that sort of stuff, and they're open and honest with what you're going to get out of it, I have no quarrels with them. Because that's what it's for in that setting. But if you're a place that is into sports chiropractic and treating athletes, and all you do is the generic stuff that you would give to every single other person, that's kind of what gives us a bad name. That stuff makes me a little bit irritated. And so I kind of totally forgot the question you asked because I'm getting off on a tangent
forgive
here.
me. There's 2 questions. The difference between what, some of the nuances of what you do now versus a regular chiropractor working on a 60-year-old woman. But then I interrupted you in asking, did you feel like your peers are actually, I don't want to say to your detriment, but I mean, you know, like I said, 4 out of 4. I don't have good Yelp reviews. So like, you might be the guy who is the above the average and does set a new standard. But the problem is, I got 4, and I've gone to them multiple times, and I came to the same conclusion. I thought maybe the next guy's different. You know what I mean? But it sounds like you are. I will say this: you haven't changed my mind, but you are hitting some of the name points. I do agree that like if I go in if I go in for 3 or 4 minutes. And then you tell me that I need 30 sessions. You want to know the first thing I thought is, well, why don't you treat me for 10 minutes so I only need 10 sessions?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm like, okay, I'm fine if you need me to come back. I get that. I'm not an idiot. I get that this might take a couple times.
Time.
Yeah, but then can you take some time? I was in and out in 3 minutes, so like, how about instead of 30 sessions, could we do this in 10 if I do 30-minute sessions? And if you tell me 30-minute sessions cost more, let's have that discussion.
Sure.
But it was never even like a factor. It was like, this is what it is. This is how much you have to come in. Okay, bye. I'll go get a cortisone shot.
Yeah, chiropractors that way are, we just have to realize what we're up against. If that's the way you practice, you're a pain relief commodity. And there are commodities that work so much better than just adjusting somebody's back. A cortisone injection will work a hell of a lot better at pain relief than, depending on the joint, at relieving somebody's pain. Go take 6 Advil. Not medical advice, but go take 6 Advil. You'll feel pretty good. You'll feel better probably longer than you will if you'd adjusted. And so I think the issue is just what people, the promises that they make, and then the treatment plans that they come up with. That's always a thing. The average treatment plan that I wanted to do when I was a super insurance-based short visit guy was always 3 or 4 times longer than I do now. I mean, we can make amazing changes in 8 to 12 visits with somebody where they might literally get told they need 30 or 40 at the other guy. And when you're done with that, come back once a month for 12 months for some maintenance visits that
if you told me once a month for 12 months, I'm fine with that. Truly, I am.
But
that makes
they
sense.
Would say that
makes sense.
They would say that after the initial treatment plan. So it's like this thing and more. And it's like at the end of it, I'm not kidding you. I talk to people on a weekly basis that come to me from their chiropractor. Like, I'm just tired of that. I have seen this person 100 times. Issue still keeps coming back. Like, I went because it felt good for a short period of time, but I just want the long-term relief now. Like, can we dive into the root cause of this a little bit more?
You hit it earlier when you were like, if we're just, pain relief specialists, there are other methods in which, I hate to say the word better. I don't want to say the word better, but like, there are alternatives to chiropractic care. You're absolutely correct. When I would go to a chiropractor, it's because, dude, I'm fucking hurting. Like, it's not feeling good. Can we get it to the point where it feels good? And my thing was always like, if you told me we need 30 sessions, I'm willing to hear you if the first session was 30 minutes. But when I came in, you adjusted me real quick, and you're like, oh yeah, this is fucked, Ariana. Like, I knew it was. I came to you knowing that it was. But you saw me for 5 minutes, and then I'm out, and I'm just like, dude, there's no way I'm doing this. There's just no way. Forgive me.
No,
I'm not trying to sound obtuse or rude, but like, this was my internal dialogue. I was like, well, I'm not going back there.
You're not wrong, and you are legitimately like nearly every new patient that I talk to that comes to see me, because they are still actively looking for a solution, but they just don't know where to find it. And so sometimes people stumble upon my page on my Instagram or my website, which is not that great, but it's just like something about the idea that it's a little bit more in depth. Treatment makes a little bit more sense. We don't have to do treatment forever. There might be an end date till we can fix this thing for good. That kind of opens people's eyes a little bit. And so it just kind of is the way things are now. I'm only one dude. I can't change the world, but I can change the world of my patients when they come in.
Well, can I add an additional layer, I'm going to be completely honest with you. The payment aspect, and this is anecdotal just from my perspective, is actually tertiary. Like, I'm willing to pay a premium. If I go in there and you jack my body up and afterwards I'm like, holy shit, like that boy did some work. Yeah. I'll pay the money. Even if it's not in line with my insurance. I really don't care. The goal here is, can I be fixed? Can I get back to the point where I'm as explosive or as strong? Or, I hate to say it this way, can I sleep better because like my fucking shoulder doesn't hurt the whole time? If you can get that, put a price tag on it. I'll pay it. The problem is I don't feel like the start and the end are ever going to connect, because I'm like, dude, if this is where we're at, how long until I'm at this promised land that you say I need to do 30 sessions for? Forgive me for using this example as a repeat example, but I don't think chiropractors are doing themselves a justice. They're not. With the current method. If it is the goal, if the goal is 1 to 10 minutes, get them in and get them out, congratulations, you're going to drive people away from your craft.
For sure. And your anecdote is actually really important. And so the fact that you have that story, then told those things, been to multiple different providers, like, it's super important. Part of the motivation for doing the things that I do is people like yourself, and also people like myself. The way I got treated as an athlete, I got treated for probably a full year worth of care. That was like 50 visits worth. And knowing what I know now, I could have cut it in thirds and gotten so much more benefit outside of just the pain relief and kind of the initial inflammation of the injury working itself out. I could have been doing all this activation and stability work and been taught how to do the right soft tissue work at home, or when it does flare up in the gym, how do I modify? Like, there's so much more benefit that could have came out of what I got. And so, I mean, it's part of my motivation as well. And so it's a perfect segue into how I set up my office. And so the major difference is going to be time. Your time either talking to somebody or in front of somebody. And in my office, that's me. We're going to grow. Not yet. We're going to grow eventually. I've got some guys and gals.
Sure. Congratulations, dude, on entrepreneurship.
Hey, it's pretty hard. Let me take my cap off.
Yeah.
Cheers, brother. It's a lot of
one man to another. Congratulations.
It's hard, but it's fun.
I had one person tell me entrepreneurship is where you're willing to work 60-hour weeks so that you don't have to work 40.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so true.
It's such a pipe dream where you think it's going to be this glam and set your hours and I'm going to be playing golf. Like, dude, every weekend when my daughter takes a nap, I just open my laptop and I just start working more. It's like, there's always more to do.
But that feeling of being your own boss, I genuinely hope that at least once in their life, all men feel it. At least once in your life.
It's great.
It's a lot of risk. It's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress. But man, is it empowering. So forgive me.
It's awesome.
I just wanted to say from one man to another, congratulations.
I appreciate
That's a big step.
I really do.
Financially, spiritually, emotionally, congratulations.
Thank you. I wouldn't be successful the way I am now if I hadn't wrestled, because the way that you learn to keep pushing through uncomfortable situations and to not freak out and stay calm when you got things going everywhere, and to manage not only the physical stress of working all these hours and up early and home late and weekends, but also the mental stress that people don't get this. When you wrestle and it's a weight class sport and you cut weight, you're doing all this performance at a very detriment, a small amount of food.
You're a raisin.
It's so hard to function when you're hungry. And that amount of mental stress, it's unbelievably important to be able to feel that and work through it. And so if I hadn't done those things, I truly don't think I would have been setting myself up as I am now. But let me get into my office, because I think you're going to enjoy the thought experiment of how we do things. So the initial step for everybody, no matter what, is we're going to talk on the phone for about 20 to 30 minutes. Free consultation. Don't have to put a credit card down. I want to learn about what you've got going on.
That's massive.
It's humongous.
30 minutes for free.
30 minutes for free.
God bless you.
And believe it or not,
You're a better man than I.
a lot of people at the end of that, they say, you know what? I like you and what you're saying, but I just don't. I'd rather go to the insurance guy. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. No big deal. It doesn't hurt my feelings now. I've done it enough.
Do they know the value of what you just gave them?
No, because they've never done it. And they've never, sometimes free is a problem to people.
Because free means valueless.
Free means valueless. Exactly. So they don't really get it. The ones that move forward, they look back and they're like,
super appreciative.
That was amazing. I've never gotten that. I was in the office of an orthopedic surgeon myself with an injury, and this guy was in and out in 3 or 4 minutes. And that's supposed to be the dude or the gal, even if it's a gal, that is like the decision maker, the important person. Like, I've got questions. I got a note page full of questions that I want to ask you. And they're like, just stop squatting and you'll be okay. And so the initial step is about 20 to 30 minutes of a phone consult with somebody, learning about your history, what you've done in the past, what has worked, what hasn't worked, all those details. And not only that, where do you want to go? Because all that stuff's good, but where do you want to be at the end of this month, at the end of next year? Are you still competing? Do you just want to work out every Saturday and pump some iron and be a meathead? Or do you want, this is something that people say, and so I could use this as an example now from patients and personally, do you want to be the dad that your kiddo runs up and you throw him up in the air and for a half a second, it's just pure happiness and joy, and then you set him down and your shoulders don't explode? Because some people's do. They can't do that anymore. I talked to a guy, this is no joke, today, 2:45 today, we talked on the phone, and he said, I just want to be able to play with my kiddos again. And that's what we're dealing with here. And
God bless that guy.
Dude, because people are dealing with that because they just haven't found the right approach yet.
That's such a humble request.
How could I not try to help this guy? So we start with the phone consult. If we can get through some important details, like somebody doesn't tell me, I just want pain relief, I just want to be in and out, because some people do say that. I don't have ill feelings towards those people.
At the end of the day, it's a business.
If that's what you want, that's why the joint's a thing. Yeah. And so if they want to move forward, we move forward to one more free step. So there's 2 free steps. So we need to vet everybody to make sure this is what they want to do. Next step is 45 minutes in office. That's where we do the nitty-gritty, detailed movement assessment, ortho, nerve tension testing,
So you could spend an hour and 15 minutes with someone before you charge them $1.
And sometimes people still say no.
I don't know if I'm impressed, skeptical, if I think you're lying.
Or you think I'm stupid.
For those that are listening, let me explain to you what this man just said. This man is willing to give something that I don't give. An hour of my time is like my most cherished thing. And you're willing to give 2 layers of free consultation, one over the phone for their background and then for their, designated outcome. And then you're then willing to do up to 45 minutes of in-house consultation where you're basically just monitoring them for your own, I guess, data repository to make sure that what they said and what you see align, I'm assuming. So that you could then better serve them.
And one more layer.
Forgive me.
I want to be able to say, if you have a rotator cuff injury, that I'm the one that you need, not the orthopedic surgeon or the cortisone guy. So that's super important too.
I'll take you up on that. I'll take you up on that right now.
Please do. I can get my phone's over there. We'd schedule it right now.
Let's just schedule it right now. I'm serious because I have both shoulders.
If
I can't wrestle with my kids like I want to.
It doesn't happen often because I'm typically the last line that people talk to. But I have told people, you need to get an MRI. You might need some more maybe thorough imaging or consulting. I'm not being able, I can't do this. And so that's also the point of that visit. Even if you don't go with me, you need to do something and I'll tell you where to go. That's super important too. And I feel it's my duty at that visit to somebody to tell them, you either need to go with me, go to the joint, the quick 10-minute guy, or you need to go somewhere else that's a little bit more equipped to deal with this?
I want to be careful how I ask this question.
Sure.
Surely you understand that there are consultation outcomes that could result in your monetary gain, and consultation outcomes that could necessarily not. Especially if, let's say, an individual, after you've talked with them, after you've seen them, perhaps it is I hate to say it this way, but maybe it is a surgery they need. I want to be careful how I ask this.
Say it how you feel.
You know, it's not necessarily in your best financial interests to be as transparent as you are prescribing yourself to be. So there is a sense of skepticism from me because I'm like, okay, maybe you think that, but maybe you also try to take them for a couple sessions because then you can at least see for yourself and then actually deduce 100% that is the next course of action. And I am in no way implying anything. I'm just genuinely asking.
Sure.
Surely you could understand how there is skepticism from other people as well. Because here's the thing, dude.
Totally.
I'll be the first person to tell you. I do like you. You seem like a pretty cool guy. I like that you're a coach. You're saying a lot of the things that I like. But then you're saying some things that I'm like, man, either this guy is incredibly generous. Either this guy is incredibly, in it for the love of the game. Which if you are, God bless. You know what I mean? But surely you can also understand how there's some skepticism in this.
Of course.
So then how would you combat this skepticism? Like what, or do you even try? Or you're just like, you know what, I'm going to do me and whatever they want to say, let them say it.
So think about it this way. Let me give you a situation. My daughter was born in 2023, so she's 2.5. When we went to the hospital and gave birth, we did the whole process and we put a card down and then we left. And then
Card meaning insurance card?
Payment
card. Sorry.
credit card. And about a month later, we get a bill in the mail saying, oh, you also owe this much money as well. And outside of disputing that or not, or looking at, no, we actually hit our deductible or not, outside of any of that stuff, I hate that. I literally hate that. I hate it enough to where I will literally tell you a price range that you might pay in my office. I say this on nearly every single phone consult because let's say we're on the phone, I never met you, and we went through the whole thing. I know everything about your shoulder. I'm like, look, based on what you're telling me, you're going to fall in this range of how long this is going to take. It might cost you this much money, which I'm not the cheapest office around by far. Probably the most expensive. But I want people to know, like, this is the bill. You're not going to get charged again in 4 weeks for some BS health insurance thing. I think transparency is the name of the game. And I think it's one of the things that the health system now doesn't have enough of it, much to their detriment. Every time I get a bill in the mail, I just freaking hate it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how do you verified my insurance, I give you all my stuff, it's up to date, we paid it, but now I owe more. And I just hate that because, like, then for many reasons, but I just don't like that as a principle. And so
because principled people don't feel like the feeling of owing people money is as if you've did a disservice to them. And there's nothing worse than when you feel like you've adequately compensated someone only to then be told,
I owe you
actually,
more.
you owe me more. Because then it's like two-pronged. One, the irritants of being in a position where you do owe money. Like any man, any woman would tell you that's not a good position. But then also the defensive position, because you're also kind of like, yes, I owe you money for services rendered, but I'm kind of a victim. I'm kind of a victim because I thought we were good. When I signed off on that piece of paper, when we left with our son or daughter, I thought we were square. Now you're telling me 4 months later, actually, no, you owe me more. It's like, well, I didn't know that. I would have negotiated. I would have done this, that, or that. You know what I mean? If I had that transparency. I do like that you have that because at the very least, I know what I'm getting into.
It's probably a net neutral on a good business move versus a bad business move. Because if you've never met me, let's say you saw my Instagram and you're like, oh, this guy's a chiropractor, but he does all this squatting and swinging kettlebells and stuff. Like, it's
kind of a fellow meathead. I like him.
Just a gym rat, dude. But he told me over the phone it was going to be X amount of dollars. And I've never met this guy. I don't want to pay you X amount of dollars. Like, some people get scared away from that because chiropractic is the discount, super cheap. Like, that's the nature of the game, especially in St. Louis, which we could talk about. And so sometimes it will scare people away. And
when you say scare people away, you talking about like the total dollar figure?
The total dollar amount that I could guess. If I said
you're doing an estimate.
It's an estimate. If I said your shoulder might take this long and it might cost you this much money, and it's a big figure, and you were like, I don't care who you are, man. I don't want to pay that much money. It's not astronomical, but we're not talking a small amount. And some people will literally just say, yeah, I don't want it fixed that bad, or I just don't have that much money, you know.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not knocking anybody. Perhaps maybe it is a financial issue. And
maybe it is.
They just simply don't have it. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. Like,
that's some people.
Not knocking anybody.
That's some people. And some people, if they get it, especially entrepreneurs, I love treating people that have high up positions in businesses, whether they own a business, CEO, CFO, COO. I've worked at every level of the organization chart. The people that are higher up, they hear a number and they're like, oh, this is going to be worth it. Like, you're not just going to charge me $20 and I'm going to waste the drive time and the opportunity cost of me being away from my laptop. You're like, no, we're going to actually do some stuff. Like, those people get it, and they're my favorite people to work with. Because once we get super clear on what the root cause is and what outcome they want, and that I'm on the hook to deliver for them, they're like, yep, here's the money. Here's my card. Let's do it. I'm ready. And it's so much easier when people are like that. And not everybody can be like that. I get it. But when people start seeing money in today's world is linked to value, most of the time, not all the time, but if you pay more, you should get more. And if you want more and you pay more, I'll give more. It's almost that simple. And if you get more, or if I give you more, then you're going to get more on the back end. So it's better for me. It's better for you. Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
I always say that there's the price tag of premium, but then there's the added value of premium. And there are things that I spend money on that I could easily get my suits from a different guy and probably spend half as much. But then when I need something expedited, when I need something fixed, if a button comes off or whatever, yeah, I paid extra. And guess what? Now I get to call him whenever I want and say, yep, I need this button fixed. But guess what? It's free of charge. Mm-hmm. I always say you can either pay for it in the back end or the front end. Just choose your end. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So
and I
prefer this method of communication and transparency because it's like, just tell me what I'm getting. Tell me what it costs. If you tell me those two things, then I can deduce it for myself. I'm a big boy.
You can make the decision.
Yeah.
I'll give you as much info as you want. I'll give you all the numbers. You'll make a good decision whether to or not to move forward. Another thing that's big, since you mentioned that, the added cost of a premium service. I've got an app on my phone that's linked to our CRM, and literally
CRM is customer
relations manager.
Yes, sorry.
And so it does nearly all of our emails, text message, appointment reminders, like that sort of stuff. And so people get that phone number, and I'll be getting out of wrestling practice, and somebody said, "Hey man, can you watch this squat video I just did at the gym? Like, tell me what you think." And we're 3/4 of the way through a treatment plan, and we're like, "Hey man, remember we worked on this piece, and this looks good, but work on this tomorrow." Or, "Hey, I got an appointment. Today's, I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday,
the 16th, I believe, right?
Whatever day it is, and I got an appointment in 3 days, but I'm sick. Can I either move it up or move it back or whatever the case?" Just having that component where you're literally texting your provider.
You've become a consultant then. If I can consult you at any time, you're by definition a consultant.
In a way. Yeah. In a way. And so that's an added component that people like. I would, just for the fun of it, I would love to get my orthopedic surgeon's phone number to text him like, hey man, what you got going on? You know, just for the fun of it, because like the idea of you being able to text your surgeon to handle something is like, in what universe are you living that you think you can text
We don't
your
make enough
surgeon?
money.
And exactly, you're not in the club, man.
Yeah.
They just are going to cut your back open and work on it. Whereas literally people can text me at any point in the day if they're working with me.
Can I present to you an opportunity?
Sure.
I'm sure you've already thought about this, but
I hope I have.
so not with your business. No, forgive me. This is more macro. I would never tell any entrepreneur what to do with their business. One of the things that does definitely irritate / I'm afraid of is going under the knife. And if you can provide to me any tangible solution to surgery, I will pay a premium. If you can tell me that you're like I could either do the spine surgery and fuse the discs together, or you tell me we have to do this shit for a year and it'll be 3 times the cost. But when we're done, you don't have to go under the knife. You'll never have to have this irreparable act done upon you. Yeah, dude, I'll fucking pay that. The problem is I've always felt like there's been that disconnect between, you know, that promised land, that event horizon where, okay, now we're not going back, you know, we're in, versus the actual tangible, true delineation. And I want to be careful because I'm not trying to poo-poo on this. I'm really not. But I've never felt that with a chiropractor. I've always felt, like I said earlier, okay, I'll do 30 fucking sessions with you. Are you serious? And then what? Do I not need a 31st session? Like that's the issue, right? We go back to about transparency and like if you told me 12 sessions, $12,000. Well, at least I know how many sessions, time frame, dollar amount. But when you tell me 30 sessions and we'll get it fixed, what does that mean? What does get it fixed mean? And then how can we attest that this won't happen again? Or when you say get it fixed, will I be like 50% fixed, 100% fixed? What is fixed? Yeah. Like just that transparency, I will say, kudos to you because I would like that.
There's 2 components to talk about. Number one is people sometimes get frustrated with how granular I need to get with what the outcome you want is. And it's typically 2 components because most people come with a pain component. It hurts 6 out of 10 or, you know, whatever the case may be. And so they have a pain component that they want to work on, but then also a functional component. And if you can get really granular with whoever your provider is on, I want it to hurt only a 1 out of 10 when I wake up in the morning, or 0 if that's what you want. And I want to be able to wrestle the practice and get into positions with me because I know it. I know how most sports work because I work with like a ton of athletes. You're like, if I'm a wrestler, it's like, I want to get in on a shot. Somebody's going to jam my head and sprawl down. My arms need to be over my head. And I want my shoulder to not feel like it's going to tear out a socket.
I want it to be strong.
If that's a common position for the MMA and grappling world, right? That's why I know that. And so that if you can get granular with that, and then from the outcome that you want, if we can evaluate the shoulder and figure out what specific structures and where and what movements and ranges of motions you're lacking, I can pretty definitively say, man, if we fix these things, like you're going to be in good shape. And it might take 3 months, it might take 6 months, but
you won't have to go under
legitimately, the knife. If we can, like nearly everybody I've ever worked with doesn't have to get surgery for serious things. We're talking horrible disc herniations. We're talking torn labrums, biceps tendons that are just absolutely swollen and inflamed, meniscus tears. I mean, literally the craziest stuff. Some bone on bone arthritis that people have that we can figure out why it's actually hurting and we can prevent a joint surgery. As old as a 77-year-old guy, his ankle was bone on bone. His ortho was like really pushing him to get a surgery consult. And we looked at his mechanics and what muscles and ligaments we had to work on. And his ankle works fine now.
At 77, he wasn't an athlete. I'm guessing this was just like traditional lifestyle.
It's an average Joe that still wants to be active and has a career as a photographer, wants to get out and about and be mobile, just wants his independence. It's just a different kind of athletic component at that point. But it's like if you can get all that stuff like things look really good for you. In today's world, you need to look for specifics. In my world of chiropractic, there's a delineation. So there are just normal chiropractors. There's family chiropractic, which is it sounds pretty basic. They're going to work on a family.
They're going to work on my family.
They're going to work on my family. Sometimes you adjust kiddos for certain reasons. You might adjust pre and postpartum mom that's pregnant, family chiropractors. You have the sports guys. Most of the people that are sports guys, they're not real sports chiropractors. They just work on athletes in a traditional way. The delineation now is what is being called rehab chiropractic. And that's how I talk about myself. That's how I label myself. There are a couple other providers in St. Louis that are that way. If you are that type of person, I know that your office is really good. You personally as a provider are really sharp, because to be able to do the things that you need to do to have a rehab chiropractic practice, like I know that you are up to par, like you're the best of the best. And so if somebody's looking for a chiropractor, they either need to like identify as a rehab chiropractic office, or you need to get really in depth with, okay, what type of sports chiropractor are you? Right? Are you just a chiropractor that works on athletes, so you call yourself a sports chiropractor, and you just do all the pain relief stuff? I had a guy 2 weeks ago, maybe. He came to me from a sports chiropractic clinic, and they did some cool things in terms of pain relief, but he's like, now literally, he's like, well, I want to be able to run around the neighborhood, and I can't do that. And I assess him, and I'm like, yeah, man, this was missed. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's clear as day, because I'm going to take the time to figure that out. And so if you can make that delineation, you can be pretty confident in the chiropractor you're choosing. And so not even intentionally, but maybe part of the mission, a side quest, is to try to bring some respect back to chiropractors, because the profession that I got into, I love it. I love everything about it. I think it's the future. Being able to fix things without drugs or surgery is what people want. In today's world, there is a major, major mistrust of pharmaceutical companies, of health insurance companies, of this system that it seems like it's designed to keep people sick and unhealthy, because somebody somewhere in some office is going to make a huge profit off of it. And my service isn't going to be reimbursed by health insurance. But at this point, I don't care, because the stuff that I'm actually doing is getting somebody better, and I would never change the way I practice, because I love it. Like, this is the total way to practice.
I agree with everything you just said. I do think that there are incentives in place to keep people treated and not necessarily cure them. However, what if I were to prescribe this as well to chiropractic care? I would say, and I would love to hear your rebuttal to this. Mm-hmm. Most chiropractors I've talked to, it's not about curing me of the pain. It's not about curing me to get me back to baseline. Mm-hmm. It's about, like, we'll get you here, and then we will do the once a month forever. I hate to say it this way, but like, if by the same way we would criticize pharmaceutical, by the same way we would criticize surgical, by the same way we would criticize insurance companies, cancer care primarily, right? I would also then have to criticize chiropractic. So let me ask two questions. Let me go one by one. First one, earlier in the conversation, you talked about how you have like this initial phone screening consultation followed by like an in-person one. What is the percentage? I'm not going to ask like, money, but like, what would you say the percentage between, of the people that you do that first phone consultation, what is the percentage that they do the second consultation in person? And then of that percentage, how many people then go into your office and request services?
My business coach would have a conniption if I didn't know my numbers here. I'll give you rough numbers, because we do know.
I'm not holding your feet to the fire. Sorry.
We do know the conversion rates, and it depends on where they come from. Generally speaking, it's under half of the people that we do a phone consult with in all the numbers. It's under half. We'll move forward to that first free visit in office. It's probably about just a little over half will do that visit and then move forward. And so one thing I didn't mention was we do one paid session in nearly everybody before we move forward and talk about a treatment plan, because I think it's also important to see how somebody's going to respond to care. So we're gonna do a bunch of stuff in treatment. We're gonna test, and then we're gonna retest. And so some people, we can do an hour-long visit, and they're like, this is amazing. Movement's better, range of motion is increased, stability's better, the right muscle activation in the right order is getting better, pain, subjective feel is getting better. And I was like, man, this is looking really good. It's not going to take that long. Some people, I'm like, hey man, we're going to be friends because this is going to take some time.
It took 10 years to break. It might take 10 years to fix.
It seems crazy, and I'm not making this up. People will talk to me that they have had pain for 5-10 years plus, and they're just okay living with it. They have accepted this. You'll listen for this phrase because you'll hear people say this. They'll just say, I've just got a bad knee. I just got a bad back. I hear that all the time. They have accepted that piece of anatomy is never going to be good again, and it will always have some level of disability or pain. I don't know why people do that. I would do anything in my power to not be that.
Can I tell you why?
Please.
Because they're scared of surgery. They don't want to do pharmaceuticals, and they might not necessarily think the chiropractic care will serve them. Because I fall into that category. This is very close to my heart. I say I have a bad back. I say I got bad shoulders and bad knee because I don't want to go under the knife. If I had to choose, this is anecdotal. If I had to choose between physical surgery or I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Unless if I tore my ACL or whatever, okay, get in there.
Sometimes you got to get in.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to get in there. But this is like, oh, you have this whatever. And it's like, well, that's bad enough to cause impact to my life, but not so bad that I want to cut into my body and take a look inside, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally.
And then
does.
I also, when you said, skepticism in the pharmaceutical company, you're barking up my tree. I also, I'm the kind of guy that, like, if you look in my medicine cabinet at home, we got Band-Aids, water, and Tylenol. And that's about it.
The basics.
Yeah. Oh, you got a headache? Drink some water. If it's really bad, take a Tylenol. Oh, you got a cut? Here's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You got heartburn? Sorry, dude. I don't know what to tell you. So I am that guy who's, I said this today. It's funny. I'm glad I have you here. I said this today. I was at wrestling practice, and they were talking about, because everybody on the team knows that my shoulders are jacked. And, I can wrestle.
But you probably avoid those positions that you know are going to hurt them.
I try. You know what I mean? I try. Here's what I'll say about my body. My body, and this is like my motto. Perhaps you'll call me insane for this. Pain is the prerequisite for the acts that I've chosen to do in my life. I decided to be a professional athlete. I decided to be a high-level athlete. And I don't know a single person that has done what I do for 10-plus years and walked away with nothing. Now, we all walk away with something. Perhaps some people it's more mental. Some people it's more bodily. Some people it's psychological. For me, it is, I'm good here, not necessarily the rest of it. But it's also like, you said earlier that I got a bad back, I got a bad knee. I also think of it as this is the prerequisite for the life that I chose. Now, if we could sit here and dissect every single ailment that I have, perhaps we could fix some of them. But even with you, even if you are the creme de la creme, I don't necessarily think I'm going to be able to fix everything, right? But the caveat to that is, sometimes it's not about fixing it. Sometimes it can just be quality of life adjustments. Like if you told me, Arion, I can never bring the strength back in your shoulders, but I can take away the pain, that's valuable to me. Arion, your knee is never going to be what it was, but we can add 50% of the strength back, that's valuable to me. It goes back to the thing that you said about transparency and honesty. That is what I think, more than anything, is lacking in what I've received with previous chiropractors.
For sure.
It was open-ended. Well, we might be able to. Well, we got to see. We need to get you in here a little bit more. And I'm like, okay, well, dude, I need a little bit more than that. I don't need promises. I need 10 sessions. We got it fixed. I don't need that, but I do need kind of like in video game development, we call it a roadmap. Like by this month, we're going to have this done.
Sure.
By this month, we're going to have this done. That's what I need. I need a roadmap.
People appreciate that. I I think it might surprise you that more people want that than you may think. At the end of the first paid session that we do with people, if we're going to move forward on a treatment plan, we break it down into steps and say, okay, if I think it's going to take this many visits in total, in this number, we're going to work on these things. Check them off. If we can do that, then we move forward to the next step. The next phase is different things. So it's like, do these things. Okay, if we can do that, that's really good. Then we move to the next phase. If we can do these things, that's really good. If we can do all that stuff, then we can move into a performance phase where we're rebuilding all that strength. And so I think more providers need to set aside time to get really granular with what the outcome that you're looking for is, and then break down a path to get you from where you are to that outcome. And it takes an expert to be able to do that, who's done it a bunch, who's been through the trial and error, who has a really good background in, let's say, strength and conditioning like I do, who works with athletes. I literally coach a sport that grapplers get the craziest injuries of all.
Some people would say that you're creating a clientele.
Hey.
just wait, boys.
Hey. It's like, if you can get all those checked boxes, then things are typically good for people. Where people get irritated, and where I get irritated as well, and all the emotions that you have about chiropractic, like, they're all valid, every single one of them. And I probably felt every one of them at some point myself, which is why I practice the way I do, and I'm super, super passionate about it. There needs to be more time spent initially to get granular on what you want, how long it might take to get there, and a super thorough evaluation. There might be 10 people with low back pain, and all 10 of them have a different reason that it's actually hurting and a different starting point. And there might be similarities between things, but that difference is super important. If you go to a regular chiropractor or somebody that's just an average sports chiropractor, you might get a super basic evaluation and a super basic treatment. And you should expect super basic results from that. Because you can get, I'm kind of like a research nerd. I have a Google Drive of chiropractic research that I hold on to and read and try to stay up to date on stuff. Like, there are randomized control trials that show just spinal manipulation, adjusting, can be beneficial. But at some point, you're going to hit a stall point where it's just one stimulus. That's just one treatment, the intervention, that there needs to be other components. Whether the other component is, let's say, exercise, whether the other component is soft tissue work, whether it's mobility, it's like you really start to get big time benefits in combining interventions, which is really hard for research to do. Although there is research where it looks at, let's say, spinal manipulation and rehab versus just rehab, or sham manipulations. Like, there is that research, like, it's out there. And most chiropractors don't have enough time to stay up to date with that, because they've got to get the volume. They have to get all their health insurance claims in. Like, it's just the name of the game. It's just it's just the beast of practice.
Well, then, can I ask you this? But before I do, we are at an hour and a half and some change.
You got a couple minutes.
You got a couple more minutes? Forgive me.
We're on a roll here.
Sorry. You're introducing these variables that are kind of outside of the purview of what I've normally talked to chiropractors about. The mobility, yes, I've talked to them about that. But the muscular, the soft tissue, the this, the that, the other. Do you think that perhaps, and if I'm speaking to over, then let me know. Do you think that the chiropractic care right now is just not enough because they're trying to fall in line with this insurance umbrella, and perhaps they would be better served if they were just saying, okay, you know what, we'll fuck this, because the care that we're giving is inadequate, and it's actually hurting our industry. So perhaps we are better served if we expand it, even at the detriment of us insurance-wise.
I see what you're saying. Being in school and being around tens of, a bunch of different, like in my class, we graduated with 90 kids or something like that. And so being around that many other chiropractors, not everybody wants to do all that stuff. And I think that's
okay.
It's
Then make less money.
Yeah, that's a factor too.
Welcome to entrepreneurship. Welcome to
that's a factor too.
The labor market.
And so it's good and bad. It's good that the scope of practice in some states allows you to dictate how you want to set up your practice. You might not get paid by insurance for it, but I truly think it's good that the governing bodies of chiropractic are not ultra restrictive. Because on the converse side, in the medical society, which I have family members that are medical doctors, I talk to these people, I network with them. It's like I know how it works now. You can get fired for not following the standard of care on a basic thing. You will literally get let go.
Lose your ability to practice.
They'll pull your license. If you want to be a free thinker, you better have your own private practice or your butt's out of there. That on some things is good. If you have a bacterial infection or you break your arm, I don't need some cowboy getting me something off Amazon.
Have you tried this new thinking?
I don't want to talk to that guy.
Put me in a splint, dog.
Right. But for a chronic condition, a chronic inflammatory-based condition that's exercise and lifestyle and nutrition-based, like the medical system is failing. It's totally failing. You can look at the stats of how sick and fat people are and how many prescriptions. Like, I bet it's gone up. When I was in school, it was like the average person takes 4 prescriptions every day. I bet it's gone up.
Well, it used to be that cancer was the highest driver of insurance costs. Now it's diabetes, which is 100% for them. I don't want to say, sorry, I never want to say 100%.
99%.
Majority of them could be, changed with proper diet and exercise. So the number one leading cause of insurance costs, of healthcare costs, is a totally electable thing. Where cancer can also come from diet and exercise. So I don't want to, but I mean, you can also, play all the right hands and just get dealt a shitty cards.
That happens, right? But the point that I want to get back to is that some chiropractors, when they graduate, they have a little bit of freedom to make the practice that they want. I think that's good as long as you're operating within certain compounds, right? You don't have to totally have your blinders on and just stick to exactly your lane. You could do a little bit here, a little bit there, as long as you're not, like you mentioned, saying I'm going to adjust your neck and it's going to cure your cancer. I think that you're going to be fine. But because of that, only the people that want to go out and be this rehab chiro and have this office that's really set on, identifying the root cause, fixing all that stuff, incorporating exercise, being evidence-based, like, unless you have somebody that wants to do that, like the vast majority, I can think of my class, I think 2 might be.
Of the 90?
Yeah, might want to be
that
that type of I hope so. Exactly. Like 2 of that might be that person that wants to go out and practice the way I do.
Well, let me add one more question before we end this then. Surely that is an unsustainable directive for an industry. If you're telling me out of 90 people that graduate with you, 2 are quote unquote like up to snuff to do it in a proper way that actually excels the industry and perpetuates people to use chiropractors more, that is a failing ailment, dog. 2 out of 90. If I told you, 90 accountants, tax accountants graduated, but only 2 of them can adequately do your taxes properly, I mean, dude, you're going to get a bunch of people that are going to start doing their taxes by themselves because all their accountants suck.
So I need to clarify the point.
Sorry.
The point is not that only 2 of the 90 are qualified enough to be chiropractors. 2 of the 90 are the top tier, the premier. The other people are going to be totally legally abiding chiropractors.
Family chiropractors.
They're family guys, right? Or you're a sports guy that actually just is a classic guy that works on athletes. So you're a sports guy. And so the point is not that the vast majority of people aren't set up to be good enough, because you're good enough to be the guy that you saw. the multiple people that you saw, that it's like you do the short treatments because that's what you want and that's the practice that you want to have. It's a super niche within a niche, because chiropractic is a niche. We see about 10% of the population, depending on your state and city. And so of those 10% of chiropractors, we're talking less than 1% are going to be how I practice, which is, in my opinion, the way to do it.
Well, dude, Ian, I want to say thank you. You gave me a little bit more time than you were initially supposed to, so I do appreciate that. It is our most valuable commodity. I also will say that there are some things that really did impress me and shock me. Specifically, if I'm going to be honest, your 30-minute over-the-phone consultation followed by the 45-minute in-house, that is... I need to stress this one more time to people. If you asked me for an hour and a half of my time for free, I'd tell you to go fuck yourself. So
most people would.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with that. So you're giving to people a kindness and a generous gift that I don't think enough people will truly admire and understand. So to that, I say, God bless.
Thank you.
Before we put a nightcap on this one, is there anything else that you would want to get across or say before we put a cap to this episode?
Yes, two things. Number one, if you're a middle school to high school athlete or you're a parent of that age group, you need to wrestle. No question. It is going to be the single best sport that you ever do for growing you personally. Outside of if you're even good at the sport, right? You need to wrestle. The things that you're going to get from wrestling are invaluable, especially if you go find a program that has good mentors and good standards and you know, people that are going to hold you accountable for being the best person that you were going to be, somebody that you would not have been if you were not in that program. All right. That's how we try to be in our program. If you're around there, you need to wrestle. Hands down. Number two, if you have a chronic injury that's not getting the type of treatment you want, you need to find the type of provider that's well-equipped to do it the way I do it. You don't have to see me. There are a couple other people in St. Louis that do practice this way. They're probably just as good. I know some of them personally. If you are looking for more, you just have to search for more. More is out there. It's hard to find more. If you need help, ask somebody who knows somebody, because more is typically the right answer, and it might be more expensive, but if you get more out of it, I mean, how much is that really worth?
Ian, I appreciate you being on. I appreciate you answering my tough questions. I appreciate you coming in here. I hope it didn't feel too confrontational, but I hope it was also a good dialogue. I really appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And if we do this again in a year or so, have some harder questions for me. This is too easy.
Well, maybe I'll come down. Maybe I'll come down and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll compare and contrast and we'll go from there.